A young woman is haunted by puzzling images.
And this time I saw him slumped over.
Can a desperate investigator use her visions to solve the mystery?
When you reach a dead end, anything you come along, you have to grasp at.
These are the true stories of real cases and the psychics who help investigators solve their most baffling mysteries. In the seafaring town of New London, Connecticut, the U.S. Coast Guard Academy makes its home. In late April, one of their own went missing. "49-year-old Richard Eastman was the commanding officer of the Coast Guard's radar installation team. He lived in Virginia Beach with his wife and daughter, but had traveled to New London a week earlier. His assignment? To tune up the radar system aboard the Eagle, a training ship anchored in the New London harbor. When Eastman fails to report to the Academy for 2 days in a row, the Coast Guard turns to the New London Police for help and Detective William Gavitt.
The circumstances were quite strange as he was a tenured and very senior Coast Guard chief. Not only was he missing, but a Coast Guard vehicle was also missing, along with some very sensitive radar equipment belonging to the Coast Guard.
As Gavitt knows, most missing adult cases are solved in a day or two. Usually, it's just a miscommunication, and the person was never really missing at all.
Richard Eastman's case was a little bit different in the fact that there should have been no communication problem. Coast Guard knew where he was. He had a place to stay. He had no reason to run away or go AWOL. He was a very senior guy, dedicated and a conscientious worker. There was no reason for him to go.
Police begin to suspect foul play.
Again, which was very unusual and suspicious was the fact that he was missing, the car was missing, and this valuable radar equipment is also missing.
Investigators speculated, could Eastman have been kidnapped by some foreign power for the radar equipment he was transporting? Police hit the streets, searching for any leads, any shred of evidence that could lead them to the missing man.
Of course, we did a lot of canvassing where he was believed to be seen last, knocking on doors. And there's literally hundreds of doors down in this neighborhood.
Witnesses help police piece together Eastman's final hours. After an uneventful day aboard the Eagle, he went to a local bar for a few drinks.
One club that he frequented a lot was a country western place, and it was called the Fort 19 Club, located at 419 Bank Street. He had been seen in there just days before he was reported missing. And that was the last contact anybody ever had with him, was at that club.
From the 419 Club, the trail goes cold. During that same week in April, a school bus driver named Pat Gagliardo begins having strange visions.
The very first night, I recall seeing just the man. There was no uniform, just the man. And I think the water and a car that was almost like a silhouette type thing.
Pat had been taking a meditation class to help her relax, but her new pastime has some unexpected results.
I found that the meditation was a balance and helped me to get refocused and to calm down. And so we did it on a daily basis. It was during these times that I would see things. I would get images.
Images that she doesn't want and can't understand.
And at first I would see a man. The next time I meditated, the man is now in uniform. An eagle is added.
Months pass without a single lead. Desperate to find the missing man and his top secret equipment, the Coast Guard asks the state's attorney's office to join the case. Lead investigator Ed Pickett agrees to help.
Ed was a no-nonsense guy. When he sunk his teeth into something, he sunk in it all the way.
At this particular time, the police had run out of leads, and we had no idea what had happened to Mr. Eastman.
Then, investigators finally get a break. They arrest a man trying to use Eastman's credit card and bring him in for questioning. He tells police he had been in Club 419 the night Eastman disappeared.
And that's where he supposedly picked up the wallet on the floor in there and walked out with it.
And they had removed the cash and a credit card from the wallet. This person now becomes the #1 suspect in missing Richard Eastman.
Investigators need to find out if he knows more than he's telling. Did he bear a grudge against Eastman? Was he involved in his disappearance? But the man's story doesn't waver.
He seemed to be truthful when he told us. We actually polygraphed him, and it turned out to be a dead end. That's the only contact he had. He had no further information on the whereabouts of Richard Eastman.
All the while, Pat keeps seeing things that don't make sense to her.
Then the car now is blue. It's not in shadow form anymore. And the next thing I saw were cranes. These big, tall cranes that are used to lift heavy objects.
At the state's attorney's office, investigators remain baffled. They haven't got a single clue to work with. And exasperation is setting in.
We didn't know whether he had been murdered, whether he'd run away, or what had happened. And the government themselves were concerned about finding him because there was a lot of expensive equipment in the car.
The desperate investigators even send a dive team into the harbor to search for Eastman, his car, and the equipment. Again, they come up empty-handed.
The way the pier is designed, it'd be very difficult to get a car off the pier without leaving some kind of evidence. And there was no evidence. City Pier at that point was, it's been checked, and that's another dead end.
Why am I seeing these things? Who is this person?
In the meantime, Pat Gagliardo is becoming desperate for answers about her strange visions.
It was like a quest. It was like, why is this happening to me? But I had to pursue it because I felt that strongly about it.
Then she finds a discarded newspaper article and is shocked to recognize the image of a man she has only seen in her mind.
I had no idea that Richard Eastman existed, let alone that he was missing. My cousin Sam was a sergeant on the New London Police Department. I called him. I said, what do you know about the Richard Eastman thing? He said, what do you mean, what do I know? What do you know? And I said, well, I think I can help find him. Is he still missing?
Pat's cousin thinks she may be onto something.
And he, in turn, told her to call the state's attorney's office because he knew that we were involved in looking for Eastman.
And that phone call sets into motion a strange chain of events that no one could have anticipated. A skeptical investigator meets an untested psychic when we return.